In this lesson, we'll take a look at how to draw with white charcoal on black paper. For this demonstration, we'll be working on Strathmore Artigain paper. We'll be using the coal black surface. We're applying white charcoal pencil to the black surface. This means that we're going to have to think in reverse. In most circumstances, we apply a dark material or a colored material to a white surface or a tone surface. In this case, we're working with a black surface, which means that we're going to have to focus on the lighter values. So instead of adding darker values or shades, we'll be focusing mostly on adding the highlights and lighter tones. Once our initial light sketch is applied to the surface, we'll gently lift our lines using a kneaded eraser. This leaves us with a light and loose contour line drawing that we can use as a guide. We'll begin adding the areas of lightest value. With a traditional graphite pencil drawing, we may start in the areas of darkest tone and value, adding the graphite to the surface. In this case, since we're working in an opposite manner, we're choosing to start in the areas of lightest tone and value, adding the charcoal in these locations. We're working very slowly, making small circular strokes to apply the material to the surface. This will allow us to create smooth gradations of tone and value. In areas where the value is slightly darker, we'll release the amount of pressure placed on the pencil. It may be clear here, but subjects in high contrast work best with this combination of media and surface. When we're dealing with high contrast, typically this means the light source is very strong. This creates a high level of contrast between light areas and dark areas. In other words, there's not a lot of midtones or gradations of tone and value from light to dark. In these cases, areas of highlight and shadow create clearly defined shapes. We'll concentrate on drawing these shapes and the spatial relationships that develop between them. Once we have the white shapes of highlight established, we can go back and add a bit of variety in these areas as well. So we can press a little bit harder with the white charcoal to create some areas that are a bit more intense with the highlight. Of course, surface texture is always important in any drawing, and in this case we're creating a portrait, so we want to create a surface texture that resembles skin. For this reason, we'll go back with a blending stomp and smooth transitions of tone and value and work the material into the tooth of the paper. We can also use the kneaded eraser to lift out areas to create dark spaces. In this case, part of the highlight was overlooked on the cheek, so we'll go back and add this with the charcoal pencil. Then we can continue on with the process of blending with the blending stomp and making small changes with the kneaded eraser as needed. In this case, we'll reduce the size of the highlight on the forehead, and then blend the edge with the blending stomp. We can continue to work back and forth making alterations, and as we go, we're constantly making comparisons between our subject and our drawing. In this case, I see that the highlights need to be adjusted to another location within the eyes. As we continue to work with the blending stomp, we'll consider it a mark-making tool just like the charcoal pencil. So we should consider the directional strokes that are made with the blending stomp as well. In many cases, we'll make small circular strokes just as we did with the charcoal pencil, and in others, we'll make strokes that flow along the cross contours of the form of the section. As you can see here with the lips, we're flowing over the contours of the upper lip. Now I've switched over to an eraser pencil. This will give me a bit more control for erasing precise areas. We'll use the eraser pencil a bit more as we continue to refine the drawing. Here I'm removing some of the highlights on the lips and sharpening the edge of the lips. We'll also use the eraser pencil here to make refinements to the shape of the highlight on the cheek, and then to the eyebrow. At this point, I notice that my highlights need to be adjusted just a bit more in the eyes. These changes are made, and then we can go back and start developing some of the stronger highlights and variations of tone and value that happen in the area of skin tone. When we blended the areas of highlight with the blending stomp earlier on, it muted the intensity. Now when we go back with a white charcoal pencil, without any blending, the intensity of the highlights that we add is much stronger. We'll continue to go back and make alterations, this time with the eraser pencil adjusting the eyebrow. and then cleaning things up a bit with the blending stump. We'll add the eyelashes by adding areas of lighter value around them. And then it's back to increasing the intensity of the subtle highlights that happen on the side of the face closest to the light source, this time right above the upper lip. We won't blend any of these applications with the blending stump. Instead, we'll allow them to be nice and strong. Of course, our bottom lip protrudes out and our light source is originating from above, so there are a few strong highlights in this area. A few can be found on the bottom of the chin as well. And then of course on the protruding cheekbone. And yes, yet again, I'm changing the location of the highlights within the eye. The key to creating the illusion of realistic texture on a two-dimensional drawing is largely dependent on the relationships and contrast of different values. You can see here as we go back and create some stronger highlights, the variation in value and subtle contrast is what leads to the illusion of skin texture. Of course, the directional strokes that we make also play a role. In this case, small circular strokes are applied to mimic the texture of the skin. Then, using the eraser pencil, we can go back and erase out a bit of the material, creating a bit more variety and more of an illusion of realistic form. Now we're ready to move on to the hair. We'll start by making directional strokes in the direction that the hair grows out from the head. We're careful to leave areas of shadow in between each stroke. Of course, these strokes will bend and curve according to the direction of the hair. Of course, just like we did with the skin tone, we need to make sure that we have some variety in the tone and value. So we'll go back with the blending stump and tone down the intensity of our initial marks. As we do so, we'll pull the blending stump in the same direction that the hair grows, just as we did with the white charcoal pencil. Now in this case, I'm going back with the eraser pencil to erase out a few more shadowed areas. Then with a sharpened charcoal pencil, we'll go back and create a few areas of stronger intensity within the hair, indicating some highlighted areas. Of course, we won't go over all the strokes that we created, just in selected areas where the light is the strongest. In this case, I'm going to extend out the hair a bit further along the forehead, and then gently blend it with the blending stump. Now it's back to the face to make a few last alterations with the kneaded eraser, and strengthen up a few of the highlights in the bottom portion of the eye, and now our white charcoal drawing on black paper is complete. If you're ready to learn more about drawing and painting, then check out our comprehensive membership program, which includes video courses, weekly live lessons, ebooks, lesson plans for teachers, and much, much more. To learn more about our program, just click on the card in the upper right-hand corner or visit thevirtualinstructor.com/members today. And if you'd like to check out 3 of our course modules for free, you can do so by joining our mailing list. Just click on the link you see here on your screen. You'll get access to 3 of our course modules, which includes videos and ebooks, and of course you'll get updates when new lessons are posted on the website. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching.